Admiral Kextar stared at the display screen with growing confusion. The data made no sense. His best scouts had reported a fleet of unknown ships moving toward Imperial space, but what he saw looked like floating scrap metal. "Show me the images again," he ordered. Lieutenant Zolin activated the holographic display. 200 ships appeared in the air, above the command table. They looked crude and ugly. Thick metal plates covered their hulls. Welding marks ran along every surface. These ships had no elegant curves or smooth lines like proper galactic vessels. They looked like someone had taken metal boxes and stuck engines on them. "Are we certain these are warships?" Admiral Kextar asked. "Unknown, sir," replied Commander Yextal. "They refuse to answer our communications. They just keep moving toward the core worlds." Admiral Kextar walked around the hologram, studying the strange fleet from every angle. The ships burned with chemical rockets instead of antimatter drives. Their hulls appeared to be simple steel rather than advanced composite materials. Even their formation looked wrong. They flew too close together, like cargo haulers instead of military vessels. "What do our scientists think?" he asked. Chief Analyst Mordak stepped forward. "The technology appears primitive, Admiral. These ships could not have traveled far with such basic propulsion. They must come from somewhere in the outer rim. Perhaps refugees," suggested Commander Yextal. "Refugees do not travel in fleets of 200 ships," Admiral Kextar replied, "and they do not ignore Imperial communications." The door to the command center slid open. Emperor Vexaslan entered, followed by his personal guard. Every officer in the room stood at attention. "Report," the Emperor commanded. Admiral Kextar gestured to the hologram. "Unknown fleet, approaching Imperial space, Your Majesty. They refuse all contact and continue toward the core worlds." Emperor Vexaslan studied the crude ships with amusement. "This is what has our finest admiral concerned. They look like mining vessels." "Their behavior suggests hostile intent, Your Majesty," Admiral Kextar replied carefully. "They ignore all warnings and diplomatic overtures. Perhaps they cannot understand our language," the Emperor said. "Send a battle cruiser to escort them away. Show them Imperial power. They will turn around quickly enough." Admiral Kextar felt uneasy about the order, but he could not argue with the Emperor. "Yes, Your Majesty. Which vessel should I dispatch?" "The Eternal Glory. Captain Yildana needs something to do. This will be good practice for her crew." The Emperor left as quickly as he had arrived. Admiral Kextar immediately opened a communication channel to the battle cruiser Eternal Glory. Captain Yildana's face appeared on the screen. She was young for a starship captain, but came from an important family. "Admiral, how may I serve?" "Captain, you are to intercept an unknown fleet and escort them away from Imperial space. Send them a clear message about Imperial authority." "Understood, Admiral. How many enemy vessels?" "About 200 ships, but they appear primitive. This should be a simple diplomatic mission." Captain Yildana smiled confidently. "The Eternal Glory will handle this easily, Admiral. We will show these primitives the power of the Empire." 3 hours later, the Eternal Glory reached the unknown fleet. Captain Yildana ordered her ship to a position directly in front of the leading vessels. The strange fleet continued forward, without changing course. "Open communications," Captain Yildana ordered. "Channel open, Captain." "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Yildana of the Imperial battlecruiser, Eternal Glory. You are entering Imperial space without permission. Identify yourselves immediately and state your business." "Silence. Try all frequencies," the captain commanded. "Already tried, Captain. They are not responding on any channel." Captain Yildana studied the approaching ships through the main viewer. Up close, they looked even more primitive. The lead ship was massive, but ungainly. Its hull showed patches and repairs. Strange symbols were painted on its side in a language she had never seen. Fire a warning shot across their bow, she ordered. The Eternal Glory's forward guns fired a bright beam of energy that passed harmlessly in front of the lead ship. The unknown fleet continued forward without slowing down. "Captain," called the sensor operator. "They are not even raising shields." "Perhaps they do not have shields," suggested the weapons officer. Captain Yildana made her decision. "All ships in the unknown fleet. This is your final warning. Turn away from Imperial space immediately, or face the consequences." The response came not in words, but in action. A section of the lead ship's hull opened like a flower. Something inside began to glow with intense light. Captain Yildana had just enough time to recognize it as a weapon before it fired. The beam that struck the Eternal Glory was unlike anything in Imperial records. It was not energy or plasma, but something else entirely. It cut through the battlecruiser's shields, as if they were not there. The beam sliced through the ship's hull from bow to stern, splitting the massive vessel in half. "All hands abandon ship!" Captain Yildana screamed into the communication system as her bridge erupted in sparks and smoke. Emergency systems activated throughout the dying ship. Escape pods launched from both halves of the Eternal Glory as internal explosions tore through the wreckage. In the final moments before her pod launched, Captain Yildana managed to send one last message to Imperial Command. "By the void. What are these ships?" The unknown fleet continued forward without pausing. The broken remains of the Eternal Glory drifted behind them like a warning to the galaxy. 200 mysterious vessels moved deeper into Imperial space, their crude hulls hiding weapons that could destroy the Empire's finest warships with a single shot. Admiral Kextar received the emergency transmission in his private quarters. He listened to the message 3 times before he believed it. The mighty Imperial battlecruiser Eternal Glory, destroyed by a single shot from a primitive-looking vessel. He immediately called an emergency meeting of the War Council. Something was coming toward the heart of the Empire, and it was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. In the depths of space, the unknown fleet maintained its steady course toward the core worlds. On the bridge of the lead ship, figures moved in the dim light, preparing for whatever came next. Admiral Kextar stood before the largest display screen in Imperial Command, watching 52 Imperial warships move into attack formation. After the destruction of the Eternal Glory, he had assembled the most powerful task force in the Outer Rim: 12 heavy cruisers, 40 escort vessels, and enough firepower to reduce an entire planet to ash. "Admiral, the fleet is in position," reported Commander Yextal. "Good. These primitives got lucky with one ship. They will not survive against proper Imperial tactics." The unknown fleet had not changed course after destroying the Eternal Glory. 200 crewed vessels continued their steady approach toward Imperial space. They showed no fear, no concern, no reaction at all to the massive Imperial force moving to intercept them. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the unknown fleet," called the communications officer. Admiral Kextar straightened. Finally, these aliens would show proper respect for Imperial power. "Put it on the main screen." 2. The display filled with text in perfect galactic standard. No voice, no image, just simple words. "This is Admiral Chen Wei of the Terran Colonial Defense Force. You have entered human space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Silence filled the command center. Then Admiral Kextar began to laugh. "Human," he said between chuckles. "There is no species called human in our databases. And they claim we entered their space?" He turned to his officers. "Check the star charts. This region has been empty for 1,000 years." Chief Navigator Pelthos consulted his instruments. "Confirmed, Admiral. No inhabited worlds within 50 light years. No registered colonies or territories." "Send a reply," Admiral Kextar ordered. "Tell these humans that they are in Imperial space and must surrender immediately." The communications officer sent the message. The response came back within minutes. "Negative. Withdraw your forces or they will be destroyed. Admiral Kextar's laughter stopped. The arrogance of these primitives amazed him. Very well. If they want to learn about Imperial power the hard way, we will teach them. Order the fleet to attack formation. The Imperial ships spread out in the standard pattern. Heavy cruisers in the center, escort vessels protecting the flanks, all ships coordinating shield frequencies and targeting systems. It was a formation perfected over centuries of warfare against every species in the galaxy. The human fleet did something completely unexpected. Instead of spreading out to match the Imperial formation, they moved closer together. Instead of trying to outmaneuver the Imperial ships, they pointed straight ahead and accelerated directly toward the enemy. "What are they doing?" asked Commander Yextal. "Suicide charge," replied Admiral Kextar. "Primitives often resort to desperate tactics when they face superior forces." The two fleets closed rapidly. At maximum weapons range, Admiral Kextar gave the order to fire. Hundreds of energy beams and plasma torpedoes reached out toward the human vessels. The humans fired back with something impossible. They launched chunks of metal. Simple, crude projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. Imperial sensors registered them as solid matter, moving at significant fractions of light speed. "Sir, they are firing kinetic projectiles," reported the weapons officer with confusion. "Kinetic weapons against energy shields?" Admiral Kextar shook his head. "These humans, truly, are primitive." Ah! The Imperial energy beams struck the human ships first. The crude vessels absorbed the damage with thick armor plating. Burn marks appeared on their hulls, but they kept coming. Then the human projectiles hit Imperial shields. They went right through. Imperial shields were designed to deflect energy weapons and charged particles. They had little effect on solid matter moving at such extreme velocities. The metal slugs punched through defensive barriers and slammed into ship hulls with devastating effect. The heavy cruiser Victorious took 3 hits and exploded. The destroyer Swift Death broke in half when a single projectile tore through its engine room. All across the Imperial formation, ships erupted in flames as kinetic weapons found their targets. "This is impossible," Admiral Kextar shouted. "Their weapons should not work against our shields." "Admiral, the physics are sound," replied Chief Analyst Mordak from his station. "Kinetic weapons do not interact with energy barriers the same way. Our shields cannot stop them." The human fleet plowed through the Imperial formation like a battering ram. Their crude-looking ships absorbed Imperial fire while returning devastating volleys of metal projectiles. They fought with no elegance, no finesse, just brutal effectiveness. Admiral Kextar watched in horror as half his task force disappeared in the first exchange. The humans kept firing, kept advancing, kept destroying Imperial ships with weapons that belonged in a museum. "All ships, fall back," he ordered. "Retreat to minimum safe distance." The surviving Imperial vessels turned and fled. The human fleet did not pursue. They simply continued on their original course, leaving wreckage floating behind them. In the command center, Admiral Kextar stared at the tactical display with shock. 26 Imperial ships destroyed, the rest damaged and demoralized. All by a fleet of primitive vessels using weapons that should not have worked. "Send an immediate message to Emperor Vexlon," he ordered. "Highest priority encryption." "What should the message say, Admiral?" Admiral Kextar thought carefully about his words. "Tell His Majesty that we have encountered a new species. They call themselves humans. They are extremely dangerous and completely unlike anything we have faced before. Should I mention the tactical analysis? Include everything. Ship designs, weapons, behavior patterns. The Emperor needs to understand what we are dealing with." As the damaged Imperial fleet limped back toward home, Admiral Kextar continued studying the human vessels. They looked crude and primitive, but they had just defeated the finest warships in the galaxy, using simple physics and overwhelming force. He began to realize that the Empire was facing something unprecedented. These humans did not fight like civilized species. They did not use elegant tactics or precision strikes. They simply built their ships strong enough to take damage and hit back hard enough to destroy anything in their way. The most disturbing part was how effortlessly they had won. The human fleet showed no signs of damage, no indication that the battle had been difficult for them. They had crushed Imperial forces and continued on their mission as if nothing had happened. Admiral Kextar sent a second message to the Emperor, marked with the highest alert codes. Request immediate conference. The Empire faces a threat unlike any in our history. In space, the human fleet maintained course toward the heart of Imperial territory. On their crude metal hulls, new scorch marks joined the old ones. They had met Imperial power and found it wanting. Emperor Vex'Islan sat on the crystal throne, staring down at the members of his war council with barely controlled fury. In 3,000 years of Imperial rule, no enemy had ever destroyed two separate Imperial fleets. The humans had accomplished this feat in less than a week. Explain to me, the Emperor said in a voice like ice, how primitive ships with crude weapons defeated our finest battle groups. Chief Intelligence Director Mordak stepped forward, carrying a data tablet filled with disturbing information. Your Majesty, we have analyzed the wreckage and intercepted communications. The situation is far worse than we initially understood. Worse? How can it be worse? The humans are not primitive, Your Majesty. They are terrifyingly advanced in ways we never considered. Mordak activated the holographic display above the council table. This is what we know about their homeworld. The image showed a blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star. It looked peaceful enough from space, but the data readings told a different story. They call it Earth, Mordak continued. Surface gravity is 30% higher than the galactic standard. The atmosphere contains reactive oxygen at toxic levels. The weather systems are extremely violent, with storms that can level cities. The native life forms are universally aggressive predators. General Tex Moore, head of Imperial forces, leaned forward. You mean they evolved? On a death world? By our standards, yes. The planet should be uninhabitable. Yet humans not only survived there, they thrived. Their bodies adapted to the crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere, and constant danger. What we consider an extreme environment, they consider normal. Emperor Vex'Islan studied the planetary data with growing unease. And their technology? That is where the analysis becomes truly alarming, Your Majesty. Mordak changed the display to show human ship designs. These vessels are not warships. They are colony ships. Silence fell over the council chamber. Colony ships? Whispered General Tex Moore. The fleet that destroyed Admiral Kextar's forces is a civilian expedition. Each ship carries thousands of human families seeking new worlds to settle. The weapons that devastated our vessels are repurposed mining equipment and construction tools. Emperor Vex'Islan stood up from his throne. You are telling me that civilian miners destroyed two Imperial battle groups? Yes, Your Majesty. Humans do not distinguish between military and civilian technology the way we do. Every tool they build can become a weapon. Every ship they construct can become a fortress. Every human civilian is a potential soldier. Admiral Kextar, still recovering from his defeat, added his own observations. Your Majesty, their tactical approach is completely unlike anything we have faced. They do not use elegant strategies or precision strikes. They simply build everything strong enough to survive and hit hard enough to destroy whatever opposes them. Show me their military capabilities, the Emperor ordered. Mordak hesitated. We have no data on their actual military forces, Your Majesty. This colony fleet represents their civilian expansion effort. The implications hit everyone in the room at the same time. If human civilians could destroy Imperial warships, what could their military accomplish? There is more, Mordak continued reluctantly. Our long-range sensors have detected additional human activity throughout what we considered empty space. They have been expanding quietly for decades, establishing colonies on worlds we classified as too dangerous for settlement. The holographic display showed a map of the local galactic region. Red dots appeared throughout the outer territories, each one representing a human colony. "How many worlds?" asked the Emperor. "At least 40 confirmed settlements, Your Majesty. Possibly many more. They choose planets with extreme conditions, high radiation, unstable geology, toxic atmospheres. Worlds that would kill most galactic species within hours." General Texmore studied the colonial distribution pattern. "They are surrounding our outer territories. If these colonies can support military construction, each human world becomes a potential fortress," Admiral Kextar finished. "And we have no idea how many humans exist in total." Emperor Vexlon walked to the great window overlooking the imperial capital. Millions of beings from hundreds of species went about their daily lives, unaware that their entire civilization might be under threat from a species they had never heard of. "What do we know about human psychology?" he asked. "This is perhaps the most disturbing aspect of our intelligence," Mordak replied. "Humans practice what they call total war. When threatened, they mobilize their entire population for conflict. They accept casualty rates that would break other species. They fight until complete victory or complete destruction. And their goals? Expansion and survival. They seek new worlds for their growing population. They do not appear interested in ruling other species, but they will destroy anyone who attempts to stop their growth." The Emperor turned back to face his council. "Options?" General Tex Moore spoke first. "Military solution is possible, but costly. We would need to mobilize the entire Imperial fleet and accept massive casualties. Even then, victory would not be guaranteed." "Diplomatic solution?" the Emperor asked Admiral Kextar. "Unknown, Your Majesty. They have not responded to traditional approaches. They appear to respect only strength, but they have demonstrated superior strength to ours." "Economic warfare?" "Inadvisable," replied Treasury Minister Valdek. "Human colonies produce resources we need. They mine radioactive materials and toxic compounds that our industries require. Economic conflict would hurt us more than them." Emperor Vexlon returned to his throne and sat in silence for several minutes. The greatest empire in galactic history faced a choice between war with an enemy they might not be able to defeat or negotiations with a species that did not recognize imperial authority. "Your recommendation, Director Mordak?" "Contact them directly, Your Majesty. Find out what they want. Perhaps we can reach an understanding that avoids catastrophic war. And if they demand surrender, then we face a war that could destroy both civilizations." Emperor Vexlon looked around the council chamber at the faces of his advisors. Fear and uncertainty replaced the confidence that had ruled imperial policy for millennia. "Send a diplomatic message to this Admiral Chen Wei. Request a meeting to discuss territorial boundaries and mutual interests. And if she refuses, Your Majesty?" The Emperor stared at the holographic display, showing human colonies scattered throughout the outer rim. "Then we learn whether the Galactic Empire can survive contact with humanity." Ambassador Till Wen had negotiated with hundreds of species during his long career. He had dealt with warrior cultures, hive minds, energy beings, and machine intelligences. Nothing had prepared him for humans. The Imperial diplomatic vessel approached the human flagship with all the ceremony befitting a formal first contact. Till Wen wore his finest robes and carried gifts representing the greatest achievements of galactic civilization. Behind him, a full honor guard maintained perfect formation. The human ship looked like a flying warehouse. Its hull was covered in thick metal plates, welded together without concern for appearance. Strange symbols were painted along its sides in a simple, blocky script. No elegant curves or artistic flourishes marked its surface. "Ambassador," "We are receiving docking instructions," reported the pilot. "Follow their guidance exactly," Tilwen replied. "We must show proper diplomatic respect." The Imperial shuttle docked with the human vessel through an airlock that looked more like industrial machinery than diplomatic reception equipment. Tilwen stepped through the doorway and immediately understood that humans did things differently. The corridor was purely functional. Metal walls, bright lighting, no decoration, except for small signs directing traffic flow. Everything looked clean and well-maintained. But there was no art, no beauty, no attempt to impress visitors. It reminded him of touring a mining facility. A human woman waited to escort the diplomatic party. She wore a simple uniform, without decoration or rank insignia. Her movements were efficient and precise. "Ambassador Tilwen? I am Lieutenant Kim. Admiral Chen is waiting for you." Tilwen had studied human physiology during the journey. But seeing one in person was still surprising. She was shorter than most galactic species, but moved with obvious strength and confidence. Her eyes showed intelligence and careful evaluation of everything around her. They walked through corridors filled with humans going about their duties. None of them stopped to stare at the alien visitors. They simply nodded politely and continued their work. Tilwen realized that to these humans, meeting aliens was apparently not unusual or exciting. "How many species have you encountered?" he asked Lieutenant Kim. "You are the first, Ambassador. But Admiral Chen expected we would meet other civilizations eventually." The answer confused him. If humans had never met aliens before, why did they seem so calm about first contact? The meeting room was as utilitarian as everything else on the ship. A simple table, basic chairs, no decorative elements. Admiral Chen Wei stood as they entered, offering a polite nod of greeting. She was older than Lieutenant Kim, with gray hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of years spent making difficult decisions. Her uniform bore no medals or symbols of rank beyond simple insignia. She carried herself with the authority of someone accustomed to command. "Ambassador Tilwen, welcome aboard the Harmony. Please, sit." Tilwen presented the traditional imperial gifts: crystalline art objects, rare metals, and data libraries containing galactic knowledge. Admiral Chen accepted them graciously but without the excitement or wonder he expected. "Thank you for these gifts, Ambassador. I have prepared some items representing human civilization in return." She handed him a small collection of objects: a book printed on paper, photographs of Earth, samples of human art and music. They were simple, practical things that told the story of human culture without pretense or ceremony. "Admiral Chen, I come with an offer of friendship from Emperor Vexi Lon and the Galactic Empire. We wish to establish peaceful relations and trade agreements with humanity." "I appreciate the offer, Ambassador. Humans also prefer peaceful relations when possible. However, I must clarify something about territorial boundaries." Admiral Chen activated a display screen showing star charts of the local region. Red markers indicated human colonies throughout what Imperial maps showed as empty space. These are established human territories. We have 47 colonies in this sector, with more planned. The Empire will need to recognize our territorial claims if you want peaceful relations. Tilwen studied the map with growing alarm. Human settlements surrounded key Imperial trade routes and resource systems. "Admiral, Imperial law considers this region to be part of our sovereign territory. Imperial law does not apply to human space, Ambassador. We recognize no authority beyond Earth's colonial council." The directness of her statement shocked him. Every species in the galaxy acknowledged Imperial authority, at least formally. "Admiral, surely you understand the benefits of Imperial membership: protection, trade, access to galactic civilization." "Ambassador, humans provide our own protection. We prefer to trade as equals, and we are galactic civilization, not subjects of it." Tilwen tried a different approach. The Empire could offer significant tribute payments for territorial adjustments. "We do not sell our colonies, Ambassador." "Then perhaps a mutual defense treaty." The Empire would guarantee human security in exchange for certain territorial concessions. Admiral Chen's expression remained politely neutral. "Ambassador, let me show you something." She led the diplomatic party to an observation deck. Through the massive windows, Till Wen saw space filled with human ships. Hundreds of vessels of various sizes, all built with the same functional, powerful aesthetic as the flagship. "This is one colonial convoy, Ambassador. Every 6 months, we send another one to establish new settlements. Each convoy carries between 50,000 and 100,000 colonists, along with everything they need to build a new world." Till Wen stared at the massive fleet with dawning horror. "How many humans exist in total?" "Earth's population is approximately 8 billion. Our colonies house another 100 million, and growing rapidly. Human families typically have 3 to 5 children." The mathematics were terrifying. An expanding population with the technology and determination to settle hostile worlds throughout the galaxy. "Admiral, surely the Empire and humanity can reach some accommodation. Perhaps restricted human expansion in exchange for guaranteed territorial rights?" Admiral Chen turned away from the window to face him directly. "Ambassador, let me be very clear about human policy. We will establish colonies wherever we choose. We will defend those colonies with whatever force is necessary. We will continue expanding until every human family has the chance to build a good life. And if the Empire attempts to restrict that expansion, then the Empire will discover that humans are very good at solving problems, Ambassador, even problems as large as galactic empires." Till Wen felt a chill run through his body. "Are you threatening the Empire?" "I am explaining reality, Ambassador. Humans do not seek conflict, but we will not accept limitations on our growth. Your Empire can coexist with humanity, or it can try to stop us. One option leads to mutual benefit, the other leads to war. The Empire has millions of ships and trillions of citizens. The Empire has never fought anyone like humans, Ambassador. We turn every tool into a weapon, and every settlement into a fortress. We fight until we win, or until there is nothing left to fight for." Till Wen looked out at the human fleet again. Each ship represented thousands of humans who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. They had not come as conquerors or refugees, but as families seeking opportunity. Yet they were prepared to fight the entire galaxy if necessary to protect that opportunity. What terms would humanity accept for peaceful coexistence? Recognition of human territorial sovereignty. Trade agreements as equals. No interference with human expansion into unclaimed systems. I will carry your message to Emperor Vex'lon, Admiral. Thank you, Ambassador. I hope the Empire chooses wisely. As the Imperial shuttle departed, Till Wen composed his report to the Emperor. The message was simple. Humanity offered partnership or war, with no middle ground between them. Emperor Vex'lon stood before the assembled Galactic Council, looking out at representatives from 300 species. For 3,000 years, these beings had looked to the Empire for leadership, protection, and order. Today, he would tell them that everything was about to change. Honored delegates, he began. The Empire faces a decision that will shape the future of our galaxy. We have encountered a new species that challenges everything we understand about galactic politics. The Great Chamber buzzed with whispers and speculation. News of the human fleet had spread throughout Imperial space, but few understood the true implications. The species calls itself human. They come from a world that would kill most of us within hours. They have established dozens of colonies throughout space we considered empty. They possess technology and capabilities that make them extremely dangerous to oppose. Senator Corval of the Merchant Guild stood up. Your Majesty, surely the Empire can handle any threat. We have the largest fleet in the galaxy. The humans destroyed 2 Imperial battle groups using mining equipment and construction tools, Senator. Their civilian colony ships defeated our finest warships. Shocked silence filled the chamber. After careful analysis and diplomatic contact, the Empire has reached a conclusion. We will formally recognize human territorial claims and establish peaceful relations with their colonial council. The explosion of voices was immediate. Delegates shouted questions, protests, and demands for explanation. Emperor Vexlon raised his hand for silence. This is not a decision made from weakness, but from wisdom. The humans offer partnership and trade as equals. They seek no authority over other species. They want only the right to expand and build their civilization without interference. What if we refuse? Called out General Morketh, of the warrior caste. Then we face a war that could destroy both civilizations. The humans fight with total commitment until victory or extinction. They have no concept of limited conflict or negotiated surrender. Ambassador Tilwen stepped forward to address the council. Honored delegates, I have met with human leadership. They are unlike any species we have encountered. They do not seek to rule us, but they will not accept anyone ruling them. They offer trade, cooperation, and friendship to those who respect their sovereignty. And to those who do not, asked Senator Corval. They will fight with every resource at their command until the threat is eliminated. The Emperor activated a holographic display showing the proposed territorial boundaries. Large sections of space were marked in red as human territory. The human autonomous zone will encompass 47 established colonies and their surrounding systems. Human expansion will continue into unclaimed space, with notification to the Empire for coordination purposes. Delegate Zeltar of the Science Consortium raised a concern. Your Majesty, what about species who wish to join this human zone? Any species may apply for residence in human territory, subject to approval by their colonial council. Humans have indicated they welcome peaceful neighbors who contribute to colonial development. The revelation surprised many delegates. Most expansion-oriented species sought to dominate other races, not invite them to join their settlements. In return for territorial recognition, humans offer trade agreements and mutual defense treaties. They possess resources and technologies that could benefit all members of the galactic community. Senator Corval asked the question everyone was thinking. What prevents them from continued expansion into Imperial space? Admiral Chenwei's voice filled the chamber as she joined the meeting via communication link. Her image appeared above the council floor, showing her aboard the human flagship. Senator, humans expand to establish new colonies for our growing population. We have no interest in conquering established worlds or ruling other species. Empty space is our target, not your civilizations. And if there is no empty space available, pressed General Morketh, then we will find other solutions. Humans are very good at solving problems, General. We prefer cooperative solutions when possible. Delegate Yilmore of the agricultural world spoke up. Admiral Chen, what can humanity offer our existing communities? Trade, technology, and mutual defense. Human colonies produce resources many species need. We have techniques for surviving in hostile environments that could benefit frontier settlements. We seek partners, not subjects. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates supported the recognition treaty, seeing opportunities for trade and cooperation. Others feared setting a precedent of negotiating with species that challenged imperial authority. Finally, Emperor Vexaslon called for a vote. The motion before the council is formal recognition of the human autonomous zone and establishment of diplomatic relations with the Terran Colonial Council. The vote was closer than expected, but recognition passed by a significant margin. The delegates understood that opposition meant war with an enemy that had already proven its ability to defeat imperial forces. 6 months later, Admiral Chenwei arrived at the imperial capital for the official signing ceremony. She wore her simple military uniform among the elaborate robes and decorations of galactic dignitaries. Her presence drew curious stares from beings who had heard stories of the terrifying humans. During the ceremony, Admiral Chen made a speech that became famous throughout the galaxy. Citizens of the galactic community, humanity comes not as conquerors, but as neighbors. We seek to build a good life for our families among the stars. We will trade fairly, fight bravely when threatened, and help those who need assistance. We do not ask others to become like us, only to respect our right to exist and grow. In return, we offer the same respect and the friendship of 8 billion humans who believe the galaxy is large enough for everyone. To those who choose cooperation, we extend our hand in partnership. To those who choose conflict, we promise they will find us ready for whatever comes. The signing took place without ceremony or celebration. It was a practical agreement between practical peoples, designed to prevent unnecessary conflict while allowing continued growth and development. As Admiral Chen prepared to return to her fleet, Emperor Vexlon spoke with her privately. "Admiral, may I ask what you truly think of our empire? Your Majesty, you have built an impressive civilization that has brought order and prosperity to many species. Humans respect achievement and success. And our future relations? That depends on whether your people can accept that humans are not subjects to be ruled, but neighbors to be respected. We have no desire for conflict with the Empire, but we will not be limited or controlled by anyone." Admiral Chen departed for human space, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed by first contact with humanity. Trade agreements quickly followed the recognition treaty. Human colonies began exchanging resources and technology with imperial worlds. Several species applied for residence permits in human territory, attracted by opportunities for frontier development. The Galactic Empire continued to rule the core worlds and established civilizations. But throughout the Outer Rim, human settlements grew and prospered, building a new kind of civilization based on expansion, opportunity, and the unshakable belief that every family deserved a chance to build their dreams among the stars. In time, both humans and aliens would learn that the galaxy was indeed large enough for everyone, as long as everyone remembered to respect the determination of those who refused to accept limits on their hopes for the future.